Hello everyone and welcome to another random bits and pieces segment from my brain, and today, sit a while, for we are playing some more Franchise Hockey Manager 6 as part of the Ottawa Senators. Alright, so today it is a new calendar year yet again. We are now in 2013 and we are not spared by injuries at this point. As you know, and by the way that I left off the last episode, Jason Spezza and Pavel Datsyuk are both out for a while, and then I said I was going to go and get some reinforcements, and I didn't. I tried, but I failed. So I had a couple different ways that I wanted to go around that. As good as many of my defensemen are, my D is not really very deep. A couple injuries and I'm really going to be struggling to find somebody who can play. So that left me with forwards, which probably doesn't make a lot of sense because I need help up front, but it's a short-term solution that I was looking for. So my first idea was to trade Joe Thornton because he is on an expiring contract. I don't know if I'm going to re-sign him or not. He's getting older. And every single team in the league offered me something for Joe Thornton, but it was all crap, to be honest. I didn't even hesitate with anybody. So then I took a different approach and I tried to trade a young prospect with some good potential. So I tried to trade Nino Niederreiter, and that I almost pulled the trigger, but I didn't. There were two players that were offered to me that I thought about it a little bit. One of them was Rick Nash, but he's starting to decline. He only has 17 points this season so far, and we're, about midway into the season, just a little bit short of that. And he's only a 2-star player. The other player that I hesitated with plays for Buffalo, and it was Drew Stafford, but I considered that it was going to be a little bit of an overpay. So, long story short, I kept the team as it is. So I tried. I really didn't find anything that I was willing to get. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and continue with what we have. We still have a good record. We are second in the East right now. We have a couple points ahead of Montreal with a game on. So I think that it's really going to boil down to what happens in January. We know for sure that Spezza and Datsyuk are not going to be back until the playoffs, pretty much, if even there. So yeah, our depth is going to be tested. But anyway, so we're going to go ahead and get this started. Looks like January is going to be a pretty busy month here. So I have my trusty water bottle next to me so that I can rehydrate, because that's going to be a lot of talking. Alrighty, so we start January on the road with a couple games here. So first one is going to be in Buffalo. So the Sabres are 19-16 this season. That's good for 9th in the East, so they're kind of fighting for a playoff spot. They haven't been doing that for a little bit, so that's kind of fun for them for that. We are 1-0 against Buffalo this season, so let's go ahead and see if our depleted team is able to get something going here. So we're going to go with Brian Elliott in net. The Sabres are going with Ben Scrivens, and of course, go Sens go! And we won 3-1. Alright, so that's a pretty good start. We outshot Buffalo 54-20. Alex Pietrangelo was the first star of the game. He had an assist. Thomas Vanek was the second star with a goal. And Erik Karlsson was the third star with an assist. Braden Shen opened up the scoring in the first period. That was a power play goal from Erik Karlsson and Drew Doughty. Then Chris Kelly scored from Sam Gagner. It was 2-0 Sens after one. Then in the second period, Jacob Silverberg scored his first NHL goal. That was a power play tally from Alex Pietrangelo and Joe Thornton. It was 3-0 Sens at that point, but then Buffalo scored late in the second period to make it 3-1. So it was 3-1 Sens after 2. And of course, nobody scored in the third since the game ended at 3-1. So a victory to start the month, and now we have a little bit of a break here. We're gonna have like 4 or 5 days off before we play against the Bruins, and then after that it's pretty much, you know, a game every other day. Alright, so Ilya Kovalchuk now has 500 assists in the NHL. So that happened against Tampa Bay. He got an assist. Kovalchuk is 29 at 3.5 star players. So Joakim Lindstrom has a memorable game for Columbus. He had 3 goals and an assist against Chicago. Ryan Getzlaf extends his assist streak to 11 games. Got 2 assists against Colorado. Bobby Ryan extends his goal streak to 5 games. In that same game, he had a goal. Eugene Melnyk is still only happy with my work. Looks like he's slowly starting to sour on me. Alright, so we have a few days here before we're in Boston. Oh, Mikko Koivu is available on waivers. He's already only a 1-star player. Wow. Daniel Corso's on waiver, and Dan Ellis is on waivers as well. Ooh. The coach that is constantly named as the coach players would most like to play for. God, I feel like I've worded that very poorly. Anyway, Joel Quenneville may be fired. The Wild is 17-18-3. The beloved coach might lose his job. Tom Kostopoulos played in 1,000 games in his career. That happened against Minnesota. Didn't get a point. 33 years old Tom Kostopoulos, 1-star player. Steven Stamkos extends his goal streak to 5 games with a goal and an assist against Winnipeg. Ryan Getzlaf extends his point streak to 12 games. He had a goal against LA, but that also means his assist streak ended at 11 games because he did not get an assist in that game as well. However, Bobby Ryan extends his goal streak to 6 games. He had a goal and 2 assists. And that's 12 straight games with a point for Bobby Ryan. Alright. Alright, so Patrick Eaves is about to come back. Dan Boyle played in his 1,000th game in his career. Now he plays for Winnipeg. Didn't get a point. That happened against Colorado. Dan Boyle is still a 2.5-star talent at 36 years old. Ryan Getzlaf extends his point streak to 13 games. He had 2 goals against Phoenix. And Bobby Ryan extends his point streak to 13 games. He had an assist in that same game. Right, Patrick Eaves is about to come back, and there's been a trade between Tampa Bay and one of the 2 New York teams, the Islanders. So Patrick Tarson is going to Tampa Bay, and the Islanders get Thomas Greiss. So, of course, Thomas Greiss signed with Detroit in real life prior to the possible new season that's upcoming, but he did just spent a few seasons in Long Island, so that's I always think it's kind of funny when players end up on the team that, or on one of the teams that they played for in real life. Alright, so we're going to be in Boston playing the Bruins. They are 21-11-5. That's good for 6th in the East. We are 1-1 against Boston this season. So a win would go a long way here. Antiniemi is going to be in net for us. Ryan Miller is going to face his former team that had the tendency to bench him quite a bit. And we won 5-4 in overtime, so a well-fought battle. So I don't mind that I'm struggling to win because I have important injuries, so that just shows that my depth is doing something good, I guess. So we outshot Boston 56-21 in that one. Patrice Bergeron was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals and an assist. Joe Colborne was the second star with 2 goals, and Chris Kelly was the third star with a goal and an assist. Patrice Bergeron opened up the scoring in the first period 5 seconds in, wow, from Erik Karlsson and Brooks Lake. Then Phil Kessel tied the game, and then Alexander Radulov scored from Chris Kelly and Joe Thornton. It was 2-1 Sens after 1. Then in the second period, Chris Kelly scored from Patrice Bergeron and Brooks Lake, made it 3-1, and then the Bruins reduced the lead to 1 with a goal before the end of the period. It was 3-2 Sens after 2. And then there was a fight. Oh, that was a manly fight here. Milan Lucic and Zdeno Chara got into a scrap, so yeah, 2 big buddies. Then in the third period, Boston scored twice and took a 4-3 lead, but before the end of the period, Patrice Bergeron scored on the power play from Braden Shen and Drew Doughty. It was tied at 4. So that went into overtime. Nobody scored, so it went into the shootout. Erik Karlsson scored for us, then David Krejci scored, and then it lasted for a little while until Drew Doughty finally scored. And that was it. We won 5-4. Jaromir Jagr has tallied 2,400 points in his career with 2 assists against New Jersey. Wow. 40 years old, Jaromir Jagr is still a 3.5-star player. Patrick Kane extends his goal streak to 5 games. He had a goal and an assist against Washington. And a good game for Brandon Peary in that same game. He had 6 assists. Wow. Tyler Seguin extends his goal streak to 5. Tyler Seguin playing for Nashville in my universe here. So 5 straight games for him with a goal. That's pretty good. Then Patrick Eaves should be back very shortly. And the game against Boston was the first one of a home and home. So in a couple of days, we're playing Boston on home ice yet again. Patrick Kane extends his goal streak to 6 games with a goal against Detroit. Oh, the coaching job in Columbus is in jeopardy. Doug Wilson might lose his job. Columbus is 17-17-5. Ryan Getzlaff's point streak ended at 13 games. He didn't get a point against St. Louis. And same thing for Bobby Ryan. His point streak ended at 13 games. And Patrick Eaves is back. So we're going to get him in the lineup. And then we're going to get somebody down. Thinking about sending Stefan Da Costa down, or maybe Kaspars Dagovins. I think I'm gonna get. I'm gonna keep Silverberg because he's a winger. I'm gonna send Da Costa down. He hasn't done much of anything. I made him start in the NHL and he didn't do very much. So he can go find his game in the AHL. Alright, in the case of the Stars missing gloves, Colin Fraser. So we've seen that news bit a few times. So that guy is not having a good start to the season. He blames it on losing his gloves, and then somebody's going to find the gloves in his in his bag in a week or so. So there. Alright, so we're going to play 2 games in 2 nights. So we are hosting the Bruins right now. So we just played them and we won. We are now 2-1 against Boston. They are still 6th in the East. Alright. Let's go get this going. So Ryan Miller is going to be in net again for Boston. We're going with Brian Elliott this time. We lost 3-2, so we couldn't get 2 wins in a row against Boston. They outshot us 35-32. David Krejci was the first star. He had 2 assists. Brooks Like was the second star with a goal. Sorry, and Jonathan Sigalet was the third star with 2 assists. We had 16,997 people in attendance for this game. Nobody scored in the first, and then in the second period, Brooks Light opened up the scoring from Eric Carlson and Petrus Bergeron. It was 1-0 Sens after 2. Then Joe Thornton made it 2-0 early in the third period. That was his 10th of the season from Patrick Eves, but then Boston scored 3 unanswered goals pretty quickly too, in less than 4 minutes. And they took a 3-2 lead, and we couldn't tie the game. We lost 3-2 in regulation. Joe Thornton, with his goal, scored his 300th goal of his career, and that happened against Boston. So 33 years old Joe Thornton, still a 3.5-star player that I attempted to trade. Alright, Marcus Kruger is back from suspension in Chicago, back in the lineup over there, and we are now in Washington to play against the Caps. Washington is also doing pretty good. They are 21-15-5. That's good for 7th in the East, and we are 0-1 against Washington this season. So Antti Niemi is going to be in net for us. Braden Oldby is going to be in net for Washington. And we lost 3-1. Yeah, those injuries are starting to catch up with us. We outshot Washington 33-18. Maxim Afinogenov was the first star of the game. He had a goal and an assist. Drew Doughty was the second star with an assist. And Boyd Gordon was the third star with a goal. So Washington scored first in the first period, and they were up 1-0 after 1. There were quite a few penalties in the first period as well. Then in the second period, Martin Ansel tied the game from Sam Gagner and Drew Doughty. But then Washington scored again, and it was 2-1 Washington after 2. There was a fight also between Ryan Callahan and Zach Smith. And then in the third period, Washington added another goal, and we lost 3-1. We are struggling a little bit. Ryan Getzlaff has racked up 600 points in his career. He had a goal against Minnesota. 27 years old, 600 points already. 4.5-star player. He is in his prime, that's for sure. All right. It feels like we're only playing the same teams over and over, so we're back home to play the Buffalo Sabres. So that's 2 games against Buffalo and 2 games against Boston so far, and we're going to face Buffalo and Boston again before the end of the month, and then Washington 2 more times. Wow. What a weird schedule. Alright, so Buffalo is now in town. They are now 21-17-2, still 9th in the East, still fighting for a playoff spot. We are 2-0 against Buffalo this season. Tim Thomas is going to be in net for that one. We are going to go with Antti Niemi. And we won 3-2 in overtime. We'll take it. It was in the shootout, actually. We outshot Buffalo 42-34. Braden Shen was the first star. He had a goal and an assist. Tim Thomas was a second star with 40 saves. And Patrick Marleau was a third star with an assist. So another thing that I have noticed, so way back when I started the series, I kind of noticed how the stars of the game usually like alternate. First star is the winning team, second star is the losing team, and third star is the winning team again, unless it's like a blowout. And now another thing that I seem to have noticed is that when they give the second star to the losing goaltender, the third star is also from the losing team. It seems like it's always happening like that. So I don't know if it's something in the algorithm that makes it that it's always like that or what. But yeah. So we had 18,451 people in attendance for this game. Buffalo actually took a 2-0 lead into this game. It was 2-0 Buffalo after 1. Then in the second period, Braden Shen scored on the power play. That was his 20th of the season from Drew Doughty and Eric Carlson. It was 2-1 Buffalo after 2. Then in the third period, Drew Doughty tied the game from Braden Shen and Eric Contra, so it was tied at 2. We went in overtime, nobody scored, and then we went to the shootout where we had goals from Eric Carlson and Braden Shen, and that propelled us to a 3-2 win. So Patrick Caletta is not suspended with Washington, still in the lineup. Same thing for Patrick Sharp in Pittsburgh, not suspended. Alright, and now New Jersey is in town. We have a few games still at home before hitting the road a little bit. So New Jersey in Ottawa. New Jersey is not doing good at all. They are 9-25-5. That's good for 13th in the East. Alright, we are 1-0-1 against New Jersey this season. So Ray Emery is going to be in net for New Jersey. We are going to go with Brian Elliott. And another overtime win. I mean, we'll take it. It's points, but yeah. So a 3-2 overtime win again. In the shootout again. Wow, we are the kings of shootouts lately. So Ray Emery was the first star of the game. He had 42 saves, and see what I meant. So now they gave the losing goaltender the first star, and then the star after that is always a player from the losing team. Oftentimes, now that's not the case, but oftentimes that second star doesn't even have any points. So anyway, so Ray Emery got the first star, 42 saves. Nick Palmieri was the second star with a goal, and Eric Carlson was the third star with 2 assists. 16,649 people in attendance for this game. Alright, so Chris Kelly opened up the scoring really early, 7 seconds into the first period from Eric Carlson and Patrice Bergeron, and then Alexander Radulov scored from Eric Carlson and Sam Gagner. It was 2-0 Sens after 1. And then late in the third period, New Jersey scored twice to tie the game and bring it to overtime. And in the shootout, we had goals from Eric Carlson and Braden Shen again, and we won 3-2 in the shootout. Phil Kessel extends his goal streak to 5 games. He had 2 goals against the Rangers. So Adam Hall and Ryan Parent are available on waivers. Danny Eatley scored his 400th goal in his career. He had a hat-trick against Colorado. So Danny Eatley, 31 years old, 2-star player. Alright, and Buffalo is yet again in town, and then we are going to face Boston because we have not seen those teams enough yet. So, alright, so Buffalo, after playing us a few times, they are now 21-18-3, still fighting for a playoff spot, but it's The Islanders are starting to distance themselves a little bit. So they're still 9th in the East. We are now 3-0 against Buffalo this season. Tim Thomas is going to be in net for Buffalo again. We are going with Brian Elliott for that one. Oh, we won that one 6-2, a pretty decisive victory. Oh, yeah, we outshot Buffalo 57-8. Patrick Werkoch was the first star of the game. He had an assist. Patrick Eves was the second star with 2 goals. And Sam Gagner was a third star with a goal and an assist. 16,673 people in attendance for this game. Erik Karlsson opened up the scoring in the first. That was his 10th of the season from Patrice Bergeron and Chris Kelly. And then Buffalo tied the game before the end of the period, so it was tied at 1 after 1. Martin Ansel scored in the second from Patrick Werkoch and Sam Gagner. Then Sam Gagner from Joe Thornton and Brooks Laich made it 3-1. But Buffalo would score before the end of the period again, and then we only had a 1-goal lead after 3-2. But we scored 3 times in the third period. Patrick Eves scored from Zach Smith, and then Roman Josi from Eric Condra, and finally Patrick Eves from Joe Thornton. It was 6-2, and that score would hold until the end of the game. Oh, another injury. At least it's day-to-day, so Brooks Laich is day-to-day with a pulled abdominal muscle. 1 to 2 weeks. I'm just gonna keep you on the lineup. All right. All right, and in a couple days, it's gonna be Boston in town. We're starting to get tired of those guys. Phil Kessel extends his goal streak to 6 games. He had a goal against the Devils. John Tavares extends his point streak to 12 games with an assist against the Rangers. Good game for Jeff Carter in Philly. He had a hat-trick, 3 goals against the Jets. And excellent passing leads to productive night for Claude Giroux, who had 4 assists against the Jets as well in that same game. All right. Jonathan Toews extends his point streak to 12 games. He had 2 goals and an assist against the Blues. All right, Boston in town. So they are now 24, 13, and 6. Very good record, and it's good for 6th in the East. We are 2-2 against the Bruins. It sure hasn't been that easy against them this season. Ryan Miller again for Boston. This time we're going with Antsiniemi. And we lost 3-2, so the Bruins seem to have a way to beat us this season. We outshot Boston 48-17. Brad Marchand was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals. Patrick Werkoch was the second star of the game. He had an assist. And Ryan Miller was the third star with 46 saves. 18,902 people in attendance for this game. Nobody scored in the first. Then in the second period, Brad Marchand scored, and then we tied the game. Roman Josi scored from Patrick Werkoch and Jacob Silverberg. It was tied at 1 after 2. There was a fight between Zach Smith and Steve Hutt. Then in the third period, we took the lead. Braden Shen scored on the power play from Erik Karlsson and Alexander Radulov. And then Boston tied the game at 2. For some reason, I thought that I lost in regulation, but I lost in the shootout. Yep, David Krejci was the lone scorer in the shootout, and Boston won. John Tavares' point streak ended at 12 games, so didn't get a point against Buffalo. And suspension for Sean Thornton in Calgary. He's going to miss 9 games. Alright, so we're gonna start a 3-game road trip here. And then we're gonna come home to play one more game before the end of the month. So it looks like we have a week off. It's probably the All-Star weekend there. Alright, so we are in Winnipeg to play against the Jets. Not going all that great in Winnipeg. They are 15, 22, and 4. That's good for 12th in the East. Now Winnipeg is still in the East. They're going to move soon. I thought they were in the East for just one season. I guess I was wrong. I guess they were there for like 2 seasons or something. We have not played Winnipeg so far this season, so let's take a look at their lineup. Alright, so Dennis Seidenberg is not going to play this game. He is hurt. So in net, it's Kari Lehtonen and Andrei Pavlich. So should be fine with the goaltenders. On D, they have Trevor Daley, Toby Enstrom, Mark Stewart, Dan Boyle, Zach Bogosian, Braden Coburn, Paul Postma, Dennis Seidenberg, and Jacob Trouba. Now Trouba is 18. He's only an alpha star. He has not developed yet. That D is actually decent. Then Matelis Kovalchuk, Markus Naslund, Sami Kapanen. Oh, there's some old legs up front. Brian Little, Dominic Moore, Imanen Albert, Stepan Kostopoulos, Marin, and Makacek. Yeah, maybe not all that great up front. So I think maybe Winnipeg has problems scoring goals. I think that might be what's going on. Kovalchuk is probably feeling quite alone there. Alright, so we have Brian and Elliott in net for this game. The Jets are going to go with Kari Lehtonen. And we won 1-0. Wow. We outshot the Jets 30-22. Braden Chen was the first star of the game. He had an assist. Ilya Kovalchuk was the second star without any points. And then Alexander Radulov was the third star with a goal. Right, so we had to wait all the way to the third period to see a goal, and it was Alexander Radulov who scored his 10th on the power play from Braden Chen and Patrice Bergeron, and that was it. 1-0. Wow. Alright, so Roman Amerlik has played in 1,250 games. That happened against Buffalo. Didn't get a point to celebrate that. 30 years old Roman Amerlik. He is a 1-star talent, so he played for us for a little bit, and I traded him, or let him go, I don't remember, but I remember I've let him go because he was a little bit disappointing. Jonathan Toews extends his point streak to 13 games with an assist against Nashville. Then Corey Perry recorded his 600 point. So earlier it was Ryan Getzlaf that reached that plateau. Now it's Corey Perry. So he had a goal against Edmonton to make that happen. Corey Perry, 27 years old, 3.5-star player. And Colin Fraser found his gloves in Chicago. He is so happy. Jeff Carter extends his point streak to 12 games. He had a goal against Chicago. Jonathan Toews' point streak ended at 13 games. Did not get a point against the Flyers in that same game. Alright, and we are about to play in Carolina against the Hurricanes. Now, Carolina has not won a game this month, I don't think. I think they had 6 wins at the end of the last episode. I could be wrong. I mean, it's easily... I can check pretty easily, but... Lost one. Oh, they actually won 3 games. Wow. They're on a roll. All right, so yeah, it's tough in Carolina. They they are 6-38-4. That's by far the worst team in the East, and also the team that has played the most games. All right, so we're gonna go with Brian Elliott for that one. Semyon Varlamov is gonna be in net. At least they picked up, they picked up a decent goaltender, and now they can start building from there. Now they're gonna need some D and stuff. And we won 4-3, so they gave us a game here. We outshot them 45-16. Alex Pietrangelo was the first star with a game. He had a goal. Victor Rask was the second star with a goal, and Martin Ansel was the third star with a goal as well. Alright, so Alex Pietrangelo scored his fifth in the first period from Joe Thornton, gave us a 1-0 lead, but then Carolina scored twice, and the Hurricanes were up 2-1 after one. Then we scored 2 goals in the second period. Martin Ansel scored from Zach Smith and Kaspars Dagavans, made it 2-2. Then Alexander Radulov from David Leguan and Sam Gagner. We were up 3-2 after 2. Then Carolina tied the game late into the third period, and then even later than that, Patrice Bergeron scored on the power play unassisted, gave us a 4-3 lead. That was a backbreaker for Carolina. They were in it until the end. Alright, Brian Lerg is available on waivers. Good game for Victor Hubel, who's still around. He had a hat-trick against the Jets. Francis Bouillon is suspended with Tampa Bay. He's going to miss 5 games. A night to remember for Christian Herhoff. He had a hat-trick against the Flames. Kyle Clifford also had a hat-trick against Nashville. And Tyler Seguin also had a hat-trick against the Kings in that same game. Wow, so it was a night of hat-tricks in the NHL last night. Alright, so we are about to play the Caps again. This time we're going to play in Washington. The Caps right now are 25-17-5. That's good for third in the East. They are atop their division. We are 0-2 against Washington this season. It's going to be a home and home against them, except that, you know, there's a week in between games. But yeah, that's the team we're going to face last. So let's see what happens. Antti Niemi is going to be in net for us. Braden Holtby is going to be in net for Washington. It would be nice to beat them at least once. Well, won't be tonight. We lost 4-1. We outshot Washington 29-23. Anton Babchuk was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals. Nick Backstrom was the second star with 2 assists. And Brian Bickle was the third star with a goal. Washington scored first into the first period, and then they scored another goal in the second, so after 2 they were up 2-0. Then at the start of the third period they scored a third goal, made it 3-0. Braden Shen scored with 3:17 left to go in the third period from Patrice Bergeron and Eric Carson. And then Washington scored in an empty net at the end of the game. We lost that fair and square 4-1. Not our best outing. Daniel Carcillo and Tomasz Moye. Yeah, you can look on the screen. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry, I'm not Mojzis. There's a lot of accents on those consonants, we don't have those in French. We have them only on vowels. So Mojzis. That's my best guess. I'm not trying to make fun of anybody. I have no idea how to say that. Jeff Carter's point streak ended at 12 games. Didn't get a point against Toronto. However, Mike Richards had a strong game. He had 4 assists in that same game. Alright, rosters announced for the NHL All-Star Game. So we have 2 players that are in. We have Erik Karlsson and Patrice Bergeron, and they're not playing on the same team. Team Blue wins the All-Star Skills competition. Ooh, Team Red didn't get a single point. Let me know if you really want to dig into that. I don't personally care all that much. It's more fluff than anything, but if you want to really take a look at that, I can, dig a little bit deeper into the All-Star stuff. It doesn't bother me. Alright, Brooks Like should be feeling better soon. Alright, so Team Red won Team Blue won the skills competition. They also won the All-Star Game 10-6. So Erik Karlsson didn't do anything, and Patrice Bergeron got an assist. He only played 8 minutes. Wow. Alright. So we're going to play Washington here in a couple days, and that's the last game of the month. Oh, Brooks Like is fully healthy. Now the good thing is that I didn't recall anybody, so I don't have to move people around. Right, Greg Zanon is available on waivers. Alright, and Washington is in town, the team we are unable to beat. So if we do make the playoffs, hopefully we don't face them, because that's going to be ugly. So Washington is now 26-17-5. They are still third in the East, top of their division, and we are 0-3 against them. We just cannot find a way to beat them. Braden Holtby is going to be in net again for Washington. We're going to go back with Brian Elliott. Oh, we won that one 4-3 in overtime. Actually, in the shootout yet again. We outshot the Caps 38-23. Joe Thornton was the first star. He had 2 assists. Mike Green was the second star with a hat trick, and Drew Doughty was the third star with an assist. 18,349 people in attendance for that game. So in the first period, Brooks Like scored first from Drew Doughty and Eric Condra, and then Washington tied the game. It was tied at 1 after 1. Nobody scored in the second period, and then in the third, Mike Green completed his hat trick. It was 3-1 Washington at that point, but we showed some pretty good resilience. Chris Kelly scored on the power play from Erik Karlsson and Joe Thornton, and then Patrick Eves from Joe Thornton and Erik Karlsson tied the game at 3. It went all the way to overtime. Nobody scored in overtime, and in the shootout, we got goals from Drew Doughty and Joe Thornton to give us the victory. All right, big game for Mike Green. We witnessed that. That was against us. Now we're gonna go ahead and sim until February 1st. Red light stays on for John Towers, who had a hat trick against Pittsburgh. And Bobrovsky extended in Philadelphia. 3 years, $6.42 million a year. So the numbers on salaries are starting to be around, the numbers we see nowadays. Alright, and one more click to be on February 1st. Joe Lundqvist is available. Alright. Alright, so the players of the month were James Van Riemsdyk in Philadelphia and Ben Bishop in St. Louis. Alright. Alright, so we had our struggles last month. We needed a lot of overtime to actually win games, but in some cases we prevailed, so we are still in second place in the East. At top of our division, we are only 1 point ahead of Montreal, but we do have 2 games on hand, so that's going to be important. That game on February 4th is going to be important for us to win if we want to finish in the top 3 there. So let's take a look in the West. Yeah, Carolina did not win a game after playing us. They're still stuck at 6 wins in 50 games. That is horrible. This is, you know, real life Ottawa Senators from 1992-1993 terrible. Except that this is not an expansion team. Alright, so in the West we have Chicago first. They have a really good team and a very, 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 very big lead. Oh my god, look at that record. Chicago is 39-4-5. That's the type of records that we have been getting, you know, for a very long time. Right, so Chicago, LA, Calgary, Nashville, Anaheim, San Jose, St. Louis, and Minnesota. Yeah, Phoenix is the worst team in the West, and, you know, they're twice as good as Carolina, basically. Yeah, the Hurricanes are going to need to do something. Alright, now if we look at our stats, again, it's kind of skewed because I don't, you know, Datsuk and Spezza are on the injured reserve. But our best player is Erik Karlsson with 43 points in 42 games. That's point per game pace. So that's kind of to the, you know, the talent level that he was playing at during those years. Then Bergeron is 42 in 47, Shen is 41 in 47, and then it just drops down from there. So, yeah. We won't win the Hart this year, I don't think, but at least we're in a playoff spot, and then who knows. Alright, and in the league, Sidney Crosby is still the best goal scorer with 36 goals. Jagger is the best passer with 53 assists, and Crosby is the best scorer with 86 points. We don't have anybody showing up except in assists. We do have Erik Karlsson showing up there. He's 11th with 33 assists. That's 20 less than Jaromir Jagr, who's first. Alright, so yeah, we won't win the scoring race this season, but, you know. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and save the current game. Alrighty, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop here, of course. So the next video is gonna be February, so if you've followed me for a while, you know what that means. That means that I'll be looking at contract extensions for my players that are on their last year of contract, and I get to decide who I am keeping and whom I'm moving away from. I already hinted that I might move away from Joe Thornton. I'm gonna go ahead and ponder, see how much he wants, how many years, and all of that good stuff. We're not hurting for cap space, we're hurting for contract slots, though. I'm up to the throat with that with 50 again, so I'm gonna need to try and shed some players, not salary, just players. I need the roster spots so I can make some moves. Alright, so that's going to be it for today. So as usual, I do want to thank you for tuning in, and if you've liked the video, please feel free to like, subscribe, share, comment, all of that good stuff, and until I roll this game again, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.